Go ahead. We are live, so we're sharing the screen, so it's all set. It's all yours, Taylor.
All right, I will. I'm going to start the recording. So, if for those that can't join, can watch this later. So we'll make sure that it's posted. So we can. We'll have to watch our language now. We're officially live. We're officially being recorded. But I want to thank everybody for joining. JJ, if you want to kind of say hello and
Yeah.
introduce us and make sure we're all in the right spot.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to have you all here. And for those that'll watch later, this is an opportunity that we've been looking to do for a long time. Go to Antarctica. Definitely a unique opportunity and one that's on many people's bucket list. And just the type of experience we want to share with our guests. So I did some exploring and compared different companies that fit the brand of the guests that I know would be interested in this and what fits our brand overall. And after all the shakedown, Quark was the right fit. And so I reached out to Quark and got introduced to Taylor. And I've been working with Taylor to put together the tour and pick the dates and learned all about how this works. Um, and we have kind of been working on this now for a couple months officially, and now we're finally ready to launch it and see who wants to go down there and come with us. And Taylor's been several times, and so he's a great resource, not only for the company but for the experience. So we're gonna go. He's got some info to go over, which I think will be really helpful. It's very interesting. And then after that, we'll have questions and answers and see where it goes from there. So, Taylor, it's all yours.
Cool. Thanks, JJ. Thanks everyone else for joining and those watching the recording later. So, as JJ said, I work with Quark Expeditions. I'm a kind of a regional sales director, but I've been in the adventure travel business for 15 years. It's always been about adventure, expedition, Antarctica, polar, any remote wilderness regions is kind of where I kind of find home. And Quark Expeditions is just that. We're a polar specialist. So we're not just like a regular cruise company. We do one thing and one thing only, and that is polar expeditions to Antarctica and the Arctic. So strictly polar regions is kind of what we do. So we're laser focused on this one thing. We have some incredible stuff in the Arctic. We want to see polar bears. I'm actually going there in a couple weeks. I'm really excited about it. But today, the big focus, we're talking about Antarctica, which JJ wanted to put this together as a big bucket list trip, once in a lifetime experience for you guys. Hopefully multiple times, but it really is incredible. And for a lot of people, Antarctica is always kind of seems like this wild frontier, this unexplored land, and it just seems complicated just because it's so different and how to get there and how it works. And if you kind of look at a bunch of different options, well, there are a lot of different options, more than before. But today, the trip that we wanted to put together was really something that would have the broad appeal. In my opinion, I think it's one of the best kind of introductions to Antarctica for a good amount of time. It's really going to be focusing on the Antarctic Peninsula. There are some other areas like the islands out to the east, but those are much longer trips, and those where we get into some much more exotic kind of stuff. But we're going to be really focusing on the Antarctic Peninsula with this voyage, which, in my opinion, really is the experience that kind of captures the essence of what Antarctica is and what it has to offer. So, uh, I don't think I have to explain to anybody where it is on a map. You just go down; it's at the bottom of every map. We're generally going to be talking about the peninsula because this is going to be the part that gives us the best access from South America. Now, not only is this the easiest access to Antarctica, but this is also going to be the highest concentration of wildlife and diverse geography in Antarctica. So not only is it the easiest part to get to, it's probably the most interesting part. So the Andes Mountains actually used to connect to the Antarctic Peninsula. So that's why it's such a rough mountainous terrain, and it creates this upwelling effect where all these nutrients and krill kind of bring up. So the marine life, the penguins feed, the whales feed there. It really is a special place. But Antarctica really is, when you talk about the peninsula, if you close your eyes and just kind of like imagine what you think Antarctica is like, what you're imagining, that mental image is probably the Antarctic Peninsula, where there's no vegetation, it's just ice and rock everywhere, glaciers everywhere, icebergs. I mean, imagine an iceberg the size of like an NFL stadium, just like floating and bobbing and rolling in front of your eyes. It's incredible. And the wildlife. It is home to the highest concentration of wildlife in the entire Antarctic continent. It's all marine life and bird life, basically. But you'll see whales every 15 minutes outside of the deck. You'll see penguins hopping around everywhere. I mean, you'll find colonies of 10, 20, 30,000 penguins everywhere that you go. And of course, if you want to set foot on 7 continents, this is where you're going to have to do it. We got to get to Antarctica. Now, I really like this picture because first off, it's beautiful. You know, you see the penguins up on the rocks. Anywhere there's kind of rocky outcrops, you'll see penguins nesting. But yes, it's cold. Yes, it's snowy. But if you look a little closer, you know, you'll see that these guys have already taken their gloves off. This guy up in the front has already taken his jacket off. So, like, yes, it's cold, but it's not like the brutal Antarctic winter like a lot of people think it is. We're going there during their summer months. So it's actually the warmest time of year in Antarctica. So yes, the cold does define the experience, but it is got a, you know, nice tolerable cold. It's like a nice day out skiing in Colorado. Of course, it's just a photographer's dream. It's almost like a cheat code if you're into photography and want to come home with some incredible pictures, and the wildlife. I think this is what surprises most people is just it doesn't have the huge diversity. You know, like if you compare the Amazon rainforest or an African safari where there's, you know, 400 types of birds and you know 30 types of antelope. You know, the diversity is smaller, but the abundance is incredible. The concentration and the abundance of what you're seeing. So again, colonies with tens of thousands of penguins, you know, flows with dozens of seals on them. And whales just concentrate there. They congregate by the thousands. You know, here's a really interesting animal you get to see down there. This is a leopard seal. This is actually one of the apex predators in Antarctica, and it looks cute and it looks happy in that photo, but that leopard seal's head is probably about the size of my torso, and it weighs about 1,000 pounds, and it is an apex predator that hunts penguins. They're incredible animals. So this is just kind of a sample, an idea of what you can get: seals, bird life, wildlife. Of course, penguins. You will get your penguin fix. Many types of penguins will abound. Lots of migratory birds and some really unique bird life if people are into that. Now, the time of year to go to Antarctica, because, you know, this is the pole of the Earth and it is subject to some pretty extreme weather throughout the year, we're going to be going there during the Antarctic, the austral summer. So that's going to be from November to March. Now, the voyage that we've selected is kind of toward right in the middle of that, kind of around the end of January. And if anybody's done some research on Antarctica, you know, or the season or what the experience is like, there's not really so much a high season or low season or a better time or a worse time throughout that season that we're able to visit it. A colony of 10,000 penguins in November is going to have the same 10,000 penguins in March. Just the difference is, you know, early in the season they're nesting, they're laying their eggs, and then they hatch into the cute fuzzy baby penguins. And then by February and March, they're more kind of like awkward teenager penguins. But you'll still see, you know, it's still the same 10,000 penguins in the colony, you know, minus whatever unfortunate few get eaten by an orca. So we'll probably get to see a lot of huge icebergs at this time. We'll probably see a lot of the baby penguins. They haven't fledged yet, so they'll still be kind of that fun young fuzziness, and some of them are just starting to get their adult feathers. So it's just a really unique opportunity, a really great time of year. The itinerary that we've picked is a 11-day itinerary. I've been to Antarctica several times. I've been on several expeditions. In my opinion, this is one of the best lengths of time to really kind of see a huge variety of experiences and have those great chances to catch those incredible moments like an orca hunt or a leopard seal hunt. So for 11 days, how it's going to work is we're going to start in Buenos Aires, Argentina. There's going to be a hotel included, one night included in Buenos Aires, so you just arrive, you know, anytime. And then from there, on day 2, we would have a charter flight from Buenos Aires down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world. It's about a 3-hour flight. From there, we're going to board our ship, the World Voyager, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then it's going to be a 2-day crossing on the Drake Passage. So it's 2 days down, a day and a half, 2 days, kind of depending on currents and conditions and things. And then it's usually about 5 or 6 days of time to explore on the peninsula. So we'll have almost a full week to explore the peninsula and the South Shetland Islands, the continent and the islands surrounding, before we do 2 days back up to Ushuaia, and then we fly back to Buenos Aires. Again, that's on a charter flight just for our group. So, couple of things about the Drake Passage. People always hear about it. They always hear horror stories, and they always kind of go, "Oh my God, the Drake." Yes, it is true. The Drake Passage does have a reputation to get a little spicy at times, but I'd say realistically, in my experience, about a third of the time it's kind of a calm non-event. About a third of the time it's kind of a medium, and about a third of the time it's that super rocky the Drake shake that you'll hear people talk about. Um, I've always had tremendous luck. I've always had like the Drake Lake, so I've always had the easiest crossings. But you know, it can happen any conditions can present itself, but what's important to know is that the ships that we're on, these are state-of-the-art, purpose-built expedition ships that are designed specifically to operate here. So we have the most advanced stabilizers, the most advanced ice ratings. So it's as comfortable as you're going to be able to do it. So you know, it's part of the adventure. And on those 2 days down, I I actually like crossing the Drake more than flying it. There are some abilities, there are some ways you can fly the Drake, but we just crossed it by ship on this itinerary. I like it because, I mean, first off, these expedition ships are these spectacular, beautiful, luxury, state of the art ships. They're incredible. But our expedition team on board, you're going to be with dozens of world class experts, PhDs in ornithology or geology or marine biologists. So they'll be doing presentations on whales, orcas, leopard seals, on the different types of marine life, on birds, on Ernest Shackleton and early exploration history. So the time aboard the ship is really well spent. They'll have these great kind of lectures and informative stuff throughout. Plus, the Drake Passage gives us a time to do just some of the housekeeping that we need to do before we land. So there's some really important things like Zodiac safety briefings, how to safely get in and out of a Zodiac. We have to do a lot of biosecurity protocols. And biosecurity means just ensuring we're not bringing pathogens into these bird colonies. I mean, if there's 20,000 penguins in one colony, if we get one sick, if we're transferring pathogens there, it can, you know, cause a huge effect there. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing on those Drake days. We're not just sitting on the boat sipping martinis, which of course, you know, we're able to do anyways in the evenings, but there's a lot of great stuff. The days are full while you're on those days. Now, the off-ship experience is that, by the way, if you guys have any questions, hang tight, or you can chat them into the chat box on this little Microsoft Teams toolbar. So you can chat questions in there. JJ and I will be reading them, and we'll circle back around at the end, or kind of while we're chatting, we can address any of these questions. But let's talk about what the actual experience is going to be like when you're there, when we're on the Antarctic Peninsula. And, you know, what we are kind of as an expedition company, more than a cruise company, is we really specialize in getting off the ship. That's like our main objective. We want to spend as much time off the ship as possible. So first off, you'll see everybody's wearing these beautiful yellow expedition parkas. Those are actually provided for us. Those are our gift to you, so you can take those home. So just tell us what size you are. That'll be waiting for you in your cabin. They're specifically designed for our voyages, so they're really well designed. They're super warm, but just neat expedition stuff like extra large pockets for camera lenses, extra large pockets for gloves. The tail, it kind of dips down, so if you're sitting on a Zodiac, it'll keep your seat nice and dry. So they're really, really awesome, and those are included, as well as the boots, those kind of waterproof muck boots that you see in a lot of these photos. Those are provided as well. So what does a typical day on an expedition ship look like? And if anybody here has done an African safari, this might be kind of familiar to you. It kind of feels more like that than it feels like a cruise. So a typical day, we're going to wake up. We'll have a wake-up call and breakfast ready in the morning. We usually just do a buffet breakfast because we want to get going and we want to get off the ship as early as possible. And we'll try to do our first excursion, you know, usually around 9 or 10 in the morning. This could be, you know, we might see an orca hunt. So we might be on the Zodiacs cruising, following a pack of orcas in the water. We might be landing at a penguin colony with 10,000 Adelie penguins nesting. And these excursions are usually 2 to 4 hours, kind of depending on a lot of different factors. Depends on weather conditions and ice conditions and wildlife conditions and where we are and what we're doing. But 2 to 4 hours, and then we'll come back to the ship, and lunch is hot and ready and waiting for us, so we can have some lunch, relax, rest for a little bit, freshen up, because we want to go right back off the ship in the afternoon again. So we're going to do a second excursion. Again, it's usually 2 to 4 hours, depending on where we are and what we're doing. Maybe can find this great flow of icebergs, and we can get into these nice little bergy bits and go zodiac cruising and whale watching between the icebergs. Or maybe there's a old abandoned whaling station that we can see, these kind of ruins of some of the early explorers and early whalers in the area. So again, 2 to 4 hours, and then we'll come back to the ship in the late afternoon. In the evening, we'll usually have some sort of briefing. So our expedition leader will we'll do some presentations. Maybe we saw a leopard seal, on an ice floe. So our marine biologist might do a quick presentation about leopard seals and kind of explain some of the stuff we saw. We'll talk about what our plan is for tomorrow, take a look at weather and ice and all the other conditions present, and then we'll have a beautiful dinner, relax, and enjoy the evening aboard the ship. So that's kind of a typical day on a polar expedition ship. And everything that I mentioned is included. So we're going to be doing those landings twice a day, meals, all your food, alcohol, beverages, excursions. All that is going to be included with just a standard price. So that is kind of how a day feels. And you're going to be with our expedition team. Our expedition staff are world-class experts. These are dedicated, leading in the industry, PhDs in ornithology, PhDs in marine biology, PhDs in geology, whatever their specialty may be, that are going to be with you 24/7. They're at the dinner, they're at the restaurants having dinner with you guys, telling polar bear stories. They'll be on the zodiacs with you, interpreting, telling you what type of glacier, what type of geological formations we're looking at. So really, they're incredible. Our expedition staff, absolute rock stars. You will love them. And basically everything's going to be included. So photography, the landings, the hikes, the zodiac cruising, the polar plunge. I'm not sure if anybody has heard about the polar plunge yet. I got one thumbs up already. So not obligatory, but highly recommended. So all that is going to be included. There are a few optional. Yeah, JJ, I have a feeling that there would be quite a few people that would be very disappointed if you did not endure a little bit of torture for our amusement. But yeah, polar plunge is always a fun day. There's usually vodka involved. We have a sauna in the steam room and everything. It's usually kind of a fun party time on the ship. So we do have some optional paid adventures, what we call them, adventure options. Now, these are optional activities. These are usually going to be activities that maybe not everybody wants to do, or maybe things that have limited availability. And on this departure, there are a couple options for additional activities. This would be kayaking, paddling, and stand-up paddleboarding. So the difference between those, you'll see our sea kayaking program. It's about $2,000. It is not cheap. But this is going to be kayaking every day, or every day that the conditions allow us to. There's only 16 places available for that. But it is pricey because, one, we're doing it every single day, and two, we have to have dedicated guides, dedicated zodiacs. It's like a whole separate operation within our expedition. And you do need to have a little bit of paddling or kayaking experience required. Specifically, you need to know how to do a wet exit, and if you don't know what a wet exit means, then that's probably your cue to either get some experience first or consider if that's the right option for you. The other option that we have is called the paddling excursions, $395. This is one of my favorites. I recommend everybody does this. Pretty much all ages, all physical abilities are able to do this. This is just like I'm not a kayaker, but I like to give it a shot. I want to go out. My wife and I do this every time. So it's like an inflatable sit top kayak. So they're a lot more stable. There's no experience required, no previous experience required. You just need to be able, physically to operate a kayak. But it's awesome. You go out one time for a couple hours. I mean, I've had penguins going right under our kayaks. I've seen penguins jump into kayaks. Actually, the last time I did this paddling excursion, my wife and I, we were out with our guide, and first off, we don't go from the ship. You'll get on a Zodiac, and they'll kind of take us further away into some cool cove with some icebergs or whatever, something cool and interesting to paddle around. So we get there, and we hop in the kayaks, and we start paddling around, and we start seeing Gentoo penguins, which are actually the medium-sized ones, but they're actually the fastest in the water. And we start seeing Gentoos just flying underneath our kayaks. And the water is so clear. The water's like glass. And we're just kind of going, well, this is kind of cool. The penguins are a little lively today. And then in a kayak right next to ours, a penguin jumps into the kayak. jumps in the kayak and is flopping around. And of course, like the guest is just like looking to the guide, like, what do I do? And it's just so funny. And the penguin's like slapping her in the face. And we're just like, I don't know. And so she's just like gently tried to like push the penguin back in the water. And again, we're paddling around and penguins start jumping into all of our kayaks. They're flopping around in our legs. And our guide's kind of looking at us going like, this is super weird. I don't know what the heck is going on. Okay, whatever. So we keep paddling a little bit more, and there's like this big, kind of medium-sized iceberg, and we kind of rounded it, and sitting right on the other side of the iceberg on a floe of sea ice was a leopard seal, like 1,200-pound monster leopard seal, apex predator for penguins. And so now we kind of like, oh, that's why the penguins were so freaked out. They wanted us, to save them. So we're kind of, okay, let's get some distance from the leopard seal so they don't see us as the penguin people. But anyways, that happened on my last paddling excursion in Antarctica on the peninsula. Pretty much where we're going on this trip is just it's an unbelievable experience. Of course, I can't guarantee you will get the same, but you could also get something else completely different. Every trip's different. Then we also have the stand-up paddleboarding, which are kind of the stand-up ones that we can do as an option available for one time. And I'm just going to check some questions. If we pay for an excursion and it gets canceled, do you get a refund? Yes, absolutely. Typically for these extra kind of optionals, we try to only sell like 1 or 2 groups worth. Just because in case we have unfavorable weather conditions or it is a little rough, we're not going to go do it if it's rough and it's unsafe to operate it. But generally, we'll only sell like 1 group or maybe 2 groups. And if conditions are really good and we can get that first group out on the first, so we. But yeah, absolutely. If we're unable to do it, of course, we're not going to make you pay for it. Option for camping. So on this voyage, I do not believe there is camping available. So we only offer camping on certain voyages, and that's only because camping is only even possible in 1 or 2 very specific areas on the entire Antarctic Peninsula, and it kind of anchors our whole voyage to that. So there's actually, we're on this voyage is not going to have camping available. Personally, I mean, camping's cool. People love it. It's a big bragging rights. It's that kind of ultimate one-upper. I've done several voyages, and my favorite voyages have always been the ones without camping, actually, because when we go camping, it's only one spot where we're able to do it, and we have to get a time slot, so other ships and other groups aren't there. And it kind of anchors our whole trip and our whole schedule around that one thing. Whereas if ice conditions or weather conditions or wildlife are favorable in other parts of the peninsula, we have a lot more freedom and flexibility to get those incredible experiences. So we have kind of a love-hate relationship with camping. It is a cool, amazing experience, but it comes at a cost, and nothing's free in Antarctica. So by doing camping, it kind of anchors our whole expedition around one piece, and kind of limits us in others. So we offer it on some voyages, but not all, and we've done that intentionally. So let's talk about ships now. So just talking about ships a little bit. Before we talk about our ships, I think it's quite interesting for you to know just in general how ships work in Antarctica, because these are not regular cruise ships. This is a very different expedition ship, and it's a very different operation. So it is kind of enlightening to understand why JJ has picked this specific experience over others. So in Antarctica, it's actually a very environmentally sensitive area, and there's a lot of regulations around it, and a lot of these regulations come around ship size. So if a ship has the capacity for more than 500 passengers, that is actually a cruise only. These ships are legally not allowed to land. So if you've ever seen the big cruise company, the princesses and celebrities that offer Antarctic cruises, it's literally a drive-by. They legally cannot set foot there. Ships that have 200 to 500 passengers. This is kind of like the medium size, a Cat 2 expedition ship. And they legally can land, yes, but there are a lot of restrictions around that. There's only about a dozen sides that can accommodate them. And they're only allowed to land 100 people at a time. So that would be like half of you are in the morning group, half of you in the afternoon group, and you just have to kind of wait on the ship and hope the weather doesn't change. But ships that have less than 200 passengers, this is a Category 1 expedition ship. This is the true expedition class for Antarctica. This is what Quark operates. Anything under 200 passengers means there's unrestricted landings. We can go anywhere. We can do anything. We can land our whole group twice per day. So the difference is striking. And when we say small ships are better, it's not just because I say small ships are better, because there are actually some significant operational differences in ship sizes. So there's a very specific reason why under 200 passengers is kind of like the magic number for polar expeditions. Now, everything that Quark operates is that expedition class. All of our ships are purpose-built expedition ships. They're ice reinforced, the most modern advanced stabilizers possible. And the ship that we have for this voyage is actually our newest ship. It is the World Voyager. Beautiful ship. She holds 168 guests. So, we're in that expedition class of polar class 1B ice rating. I can give a whole spiel about what ice ratings mean, but just rest assured, she can take whatever we throw at her. She can operate anywhere we can and have gone, and we can do all the good stuff with her. But this is a luxury ship. This is a brand new vessel, almost brand new. It was built basically during COVID, so she really only has a couple seasons operating under her belt. But beautiful ship. The common areas are spectacular. There's these floor-to-ceiling windows like everywhere you go on the ship. So, like we interrupt dinner service because there's whales feeding outside the dining room, or glaciers or icebergs floating by. Everywhere you go, it's just spectacular views. I love it because there's like a lot of these like great, nice, big common areas. But there's a lot of these like neat, tiny little nooks. And these are kind of where my wife and I kind of find ourselves at the end of a day, just to have a cup of coffee and share photos and text our friends back home and talk about our adventures for the day. Also, some great amenities. There's a spa, there's a sauna. This is available, anytime you want to go. There's a gym so nice, I almost want to use it every time I'm on board. We've got the theater and the lecture hall, so in the afternoons and the evenings, our experts will be giving kind of some presentations here and sharing pictures and sharing some experiences for the day, showing maps of where we're going, where we've been. But of course, the heart of the ship is outside the ship, so it is the observation decks. And these ships are built with spectacular wraparound observation decks. So, if there's a whale feeding here, you can follow it all the way, walking all around the ship, and you have unobstructed, spectacular views everywhere you are. And it's really designed for that. These are what the cabins are like. So again, this is a luxury ship. This is our entry-level cabin. It's an infinity suite. That is actually like a panoramic window that slides down to about waist high. We call it a Juliet balcony. So you can pop your head out the window. I love hearing the ice crack. I love, you can hear whales breaching. Just the sounds of the glaciers rumbling and creaking and moaning are amazing. And it's also really handy, just like when you're getting dressed in the morning for that first outing, to be able to stick your head outside the window and feel what the temperature's like. So, if you want to put your light gloves on or your medium gloves on today, it's really helpful for that. These are how you'll receive your expedition parkas. But you can see these are all suites, all balconies. There's also a veranda suite. The room's just a little bit smaller, but you get a private balcony. So if you love spending time on your balcony, photographers love these because these are the guys that love to just hang out, with their camera for extended periods of time. It's another great option for you. But these are full amenities. Great ships. I love the World Voyager. And just kind of the last bit I want to say is that Quark, as a world leader in polar expeditions, sustainability is a big part of what we of our operations. And I could go into a lot of detail, and if anybody has specific questions about this, I can tell you more details about our state-of-the-art waste management system, state-of-the-art highly efficient engines. We don't have any single-use plastics aboard our ship. I can go on and on about that, but I just think what's important to know is that there is actually a governing body called the IATO, which is the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators. Quark is actually a founding member of the regulatory body for Antarctic tourism. So we don't just follow the rules, we actually make the rules. And Quark really is the gold standard for responsible travel and sustainable travel where we're going. So yeah. And so with that, I want to pass it back to you guys. We've got a couple questions in the chat. Daylight times look like? Yeah, so we are going to be pretty far south. And pretty close to the Antarctic Circle. We may not cross the Antarctic Circle, but we'll be pretty darn close to it. So it's going to be long daylight hours, which is really kind of cool. I've The sun might set at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Sun rises at 5 or 6, so it has long days, long daylight hours. It does get pretty sneaky when you have dinner and you go, oh, I'm just going to go up to the lounge for one drink, and you look outside and it looks like sunset, so you go, oh no, it's just sunset, yeah, just one drink. But the sunset lasts like 3 hours and you go, oh my god, it's 1:30 in the morning. It sneaks up on you. Yeah. Square footage of the stateroom. Ooh, good question. Don't quote me on this. I think it's like 200, 220. JJ can send out the actual ship book for the World Voyager that has like all the deck plans and layouts and sizes on that. But it's usually, we can configure it for two singles or one matrimonial bed. And then there's a sitting area, couch, and then either a private balcony or just a larger sitting area. And then, of course, private bathroom, stand-up shower. A 270, there it is. Thank you. So with that, pass it over to you guys. JJ, do you have any questions or any questions that you have been hearing from your guests or anybody here?
Well, of course, everybody wants to know about how much it costs. So that is, that's a great question.
I still can't hear you. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Sorry, there we go. Okay, so I guess the biggest question I get probably is like, okay, what are we talking about here for prices? And so we have, we picked 3 cabins to offer. If you want something crazier than that, we can certainly ask. But we have the Infinity Suite, the Veranda Suite, and the Superior Suite. The Infinity Suite is 215 square feet with the French balcony that you saw. Then you have the Veranda Suite, it's 270 square feet with a walkout balcony, and the Superior is 278 with a walkout balcony. So the price for the Infinity Suite is $13,531 per person, and that includes your charter and hotel transfer package. Okay, so it includes everything except your excursions, and then the flights down there. It's too early to book those for 2027, but I was looking at they're about, I don't know, $1,500 to $1,800. So nothing too crazy. I mean, Dave, we've taken a lot of these trips together. Brian, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think down to South America. So you can plan on that. We will have those. I asked my group coordinator to put that together as soon as she has the dates available. So shouldn't be too much. Well, it might be a little bit. Another 5 months maybe before we see the prices. But as soon as we have the flight prices, we'll let everybody know. And then, okay, so the deposit is 25% of your cabin price per person. And then the final payment will be due September 1st of 2026. And we also can do like payment plans and everything. So there's no interest or anything like that fee for us. If you want to do a payment plan to pay over time, since it's quite a ways away, you can certainly do that. You can either mark it on your sheet that you want to do that, or you want to, or when you call us, if you want to make a reservation, we can manage that for you, and we can really make it any number of payments that you want. The $25% deposit though is due, so that part can't be sort of spread out over the next year and a half. But everything else we can manage out through there. The order form is like many of our others. It has what cabin you'd like, all the information about you, has what parka size you need. I mean, Taylor, that's kind of a small question, but in your experience, do the parka sizes run pretty true to size, or?
Yeah, like everything I wear is a large. I get the large parka, okay. and it's fine for me. We have extra ones on the ship too.
Okay.
Like if you want to try the bigger one or try the smaller one, we have enough for that.
Cool, great.
Yeah, don't sweat it. Same with the boots. The boots fit. They might fit you weird, and we have options.
Cool. And then airfare is a place to market that if you would like us to book airfare. So when that comes out, we'll do that for you. Or if you want to book your own, I know that there is a Patagonia sort of in that group title, and I think I'm going to handle those Patagonia excursions one at a time as they come in, and just because there's so many different options and things to do, and this is already a pretty big trip. So yeah, if you want to do Patagonia, we can talk that through and see what that's like.
Just to kind of touch on that, JJ, again, that price that he mentioned includes everything, including that charter flight from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia and back, meals, activities, alcohol, Wi-Fi. I mean, it's kind of a one price, bottom line. I love getting on the ships because I put my wallet in my suitcase and you don't touch it for 10 days. Because, I mean, you're in Antarctica, there's literally nowhere to spend money on. So it's really, really awesome once you're down there. Everything's included. But kind of what JJ was saying, if you want to, arrive early to Patagonia and explore on your own, stay late, stay a couple days extra in Patagonia, we can remove that charter flight. So, I mean, that could bring the price down a little bit. Whatever you guys want to do, we kind of have options for that.
That's awesome. And then the last thing kind of about pricing is it's listed on the brochure, but within 15 days after booking the date, you can cancel for 15 days. So you have like a 15-day window. If you like book it and you're like, oh, I'm having a moment, maybe I should have done that, you can cancel. Everything up to 120 days before departure is the 25% is non-refundable. And then 119 days to 90 days before departure, it's 75% of the gross fare is non-refundable. And then 89 days before departure is 100%. They also have a future travel credit, so you could do that as an option too, to rebook.
Getting a couple really good questions.
Okay.
One of them is about single cabins or
Mm.
to do a double. So for singles, we have two great options for you. One is we do have a room share program. So let's say that I'm traveling by myself. I don't want to pay any extra. Quark or JJ, if you have extra singles within your group, or Quark can match me with another single traveler and we can share a cabin if I choose to. Or if I do want a private cabin to myself, I don't want to share with anybody. There is a standard single supplement. It's 1.7 times the price. Okay, to get a private cabin. So there is a single supplement. So you have your choice of pay extra for a private cabin, or Quark can help you find a roommate.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good question about the food. So, is it local food to the area? Well, I mean, the weird thing about Antarctica is there is no native population. There is no kind of local cuisine. Of course, we're sourcing a lot of stuff out of Argentina and places where we go that kind of reflects that. Sometimes we'll do kind of fun themed menus throughout. So, like, we'll recreate some of the food that Ernest Shackleton ate on his voyage because they logged, very meticulously what they ate and what they had. So we'll kind of do our take on a Shackleton menu. But typically it's going to be breakfast and lunch are going to be buffets, and that's mostly because it's just a speed thing. We just want to get out and explore. We want to get off the ship. Dinner's going to be a full service with 5 courses, your choice of soup, choice of appetizer, choice of mains, desserts, and everything. Honestly, the food is spectacular. I have never lost weight on one of these voyages. My clothes always seem to shrink after I've been on one of these ships for about a week. So the food really is good, and we can accommodate any sort of dietary request. So if it's vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, gluten, pretty much any type of dietary request we can accommodate. And the variety of the food is really it surprises most people.
Great question.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Other amenities like laundry and internet. So we do have Starlink satellite internet on board. So we do include Wi-Fi for all of our guests for one device. It's standard internet. Standard internet just means it's good enough. You can. I've always used the standard internet on board. I can post pictures online. I can send videos on WhatsApp to my family back home. I can check the score of the football game if it's going on, and you can do like basic stuff. If you need heavier use, like some people are, you're off work for the week, but there's like that one meeting you have to do with a video call. You can purchase premium internet if you need high speed to do like video calls and stuff. That's optional, and it's per day if needed, but standard Wi-Fi, I've always used it, and it's always been fine. Like I said, for basic stuff, sending pictures, posting stuff online, checking your email, things like that, it's good enough. And yeah, so there are a block of cabins reserved for you guys. This is a peak season departure. This is the most popular time of year to go to Antarctica. So these departures typically do fill out. So we do have a block of cabins reserved for you guys for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's just going to be subject to availability. However, we were able to get a pretty good price. I think it's lower than the public price. So if you want to call Quark Expeditions, well, you can book it to us, but we'll make sure to charge you more for it. But we gave JJ and Excite a really special price for this opportunity because it's far in advance and it's it's just a great opportunity.
That's awesome. Good questions.
Any other questions? I can barely get internet service. It's funny. I've been on it. I've done voyages pre-internet, and now that we have like Starlink as satellite internet that you can get globally, it's cool and it's amazing, and it shocks me how good it was. But I did kind of miss the old expeditions where it was true disconnectivity. A digital detox. Was really pretty nice. Uh, so I do kind of miss the good old days of being like seriously out of office for those days. But no, the internet now it surprises people how good it is.
One more like tidbit too. I know about like payment and stuff. So we have chosen that everybody will pay Excite, and then we will transfer the funds to Quark, and the paperwork will work the same. So everything will come to us, and then to you, and then to you, and then so we have like one point of contact. Um, and when you pay for your deposit or anything, so I mean it's the same as every other of our other trips. You can ACH it for free. You can write a check. You can wire it if you want to wire the funds to Excite. I can send you the wire details. There's a little fee for that to wire it. So ACH might be best if your bank allows that. And then the credit card fee, there is a fee. I don't know, Taylor, if we take somebody's credit card number and then hand it over to you to run it, do you guys charge a processing fee for credit cards?
So we call that a pass-through payment, and where you would pass it through straight to Quark. Actually, if you book directly with Quark, there is a 3% fee, but through you as a one of our partners, there's actually no fee. So again, it's another great deal through you guys. So we can take credit cards with no fee if you want to get those points.
Nice.
Clothes. Okay, people are asking about clothes. What kind of specialized clothes? So we're going to give you the parka. We're going to give you the boots. Parka is yours to keep. Boots are yours to borrow. The biggest piece that you will need is waterproof pants. It does get a little splashy on the Zodiacs, and if it's snowing, you're kind of sitting in slush. You guys are Nebraska people, so I'm sure you guys have hat and gloves and basic winter accessories are the big one. Waterproof pants, though. So kind of the two choices. My wife, she runs a little colder, so she wears her ski pants, and those work really well for her, and she likes those. I run a little warmer, so I just get like the thin waterproof like rain shell pants, and then I'll just wear hiking pants under those. And if it's a little chilly that morning, I'll put thermals under those. So that's how I do it. There's a couple. Those are two strategies. They both seem to be pretty popular, and they both work for most people. Just a nice base layer under your clothes. I like to bring like one pair of light gloves just for like hanging out on the ship. So like in that picture you're seeing, you want to pop out for a quick photo or see the whales or something. I like to have just like light gloves I kind of keep in my pocket. And then usually some kind of medium-ish ski style gloves that are more waterproof, like when we do landings. And like I said, it's kind of wet and just sloshy a little bit. Gets a little splashy on the Zodiac. So kind of like a waterproof ski style glove is really nice. Another cool thing about the ship, it has heated floors on the bathrooms. So at night, if my gloves get wet, I just chunk them on the bathroom floor, and when I wake up in the morning, they're toasty and warm. Hat, winter hat. I love those buffs, those kind of like tube neck gaiter buff things.
Okay.
Those are awesome on the Zodiac because you can just kind of flip them up over your nose when the snow is kind of blasting in the face, and it's windy, so sunglasses and stuff. But that's just kind of basic cold weather accessories.
On the ship, is it pretty casual? I mean, I saw a lot of people wearing jeans in the video, and like, I mean, the ship looks amazing, but is there anything to dress up for?
No, it's a real casual environment. There's no dress code. I'm usually wearing hiking pants.
Okay.
I wear Crocs to dinner. I'm just wearing t-shirts or maybe a hoodie, or there's usually like a nice kind of farewell party at the end. The captain's toast. So I'll bring like a nice-ish shirt for that, just because I'm feeling like it. But no, it's very casual on board. It's blue jeans and hoodies and tennis shoes and
Awesome.
yeah.
Somebody asked about insurance. You can purchase insurance with anybody. We offer TravelX, so you can go through them. I was reading on Quark's website. I was reading that you guys have it through a vendor that I'm familiar with as well, but I couldn't find a place to like sign up for it. Do you know anything about that, Taylor?
Yeah, it's a new thing we just started offering is travel insurance. We just require emergency medical insurance. We include emergency evacuation insurance, but we just require basic emergency medical insurance. However, I mean, I think it goes without saying these trips are not cheap. I always highly recommend trip cancellation insurance. I mean, these are expensive trips. These are the price of a car.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't set foot in my car without insurance. But I mean, I've been in the industry long enough. I've seen and heard all the stories of, a volcano erupts in Iceland, and the trip to Iceland is canceled, and there's a million reasons why family members get sick and they have to cancel voyages. So especially something at this price, if it's a $279 United flight, I'm probably not going to insure that. But this is something very different.
Good questions. Are there medical
Anything
professionals
that
on
is
board?
prohibited?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are there medical professionals on board? I'm assuming there is an infirmary.
Yep, we have 2 doctors on board. We have, a full medical facilities, emergency medical facilities, so we can, treat any kind of standard ailments and things like that. If you do have some serious medical concerns, we do require, we'll send out a medical form, and if you have certain conditions, we may ask for a doctor's approval for you to travel with us. If certain heart conditions or certain things that may be riskier, because we are going to be in a place where there is, not major medical services available. So that's just a consideration. But yes, we have full emergency medical services on board. Another question, things that are prohibited. Cannot bring your own alcohol on board, but hey, it's an open bar. It's all included with ours. And no drones. Drones are not allowed. Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty simple.
There's no vaccinations required specifically, right? Because there's no real people,
So for us in our operation, no.
Okay.
And actually in Argentina, there's not anymore.
Okay.
So I think Argentina, if you're traveling from the United States, I don't even think you need a visa. It's just stamp in and stamp out.
Nice.
Yeah. Argentina is cool. If you've never been to Buenos Aires, it's definitely worth coming in a day or two early. Great city. I absolutely love Buenos Aires as well. So if you get a chance, it's always worth coming in a day early. Cool. Well, if anybody has any more questions, JJ's our main point of contact. He and I have been in touch a lot, so he's quickly becoming quite an expert on this already. And he and I are on the phone constantly. So if there's not a question answered, we can get in touch. No problems. Any special requests, we're happy to accommodate. And any questions, I just hope you can come, because I will tell you, there is nothing like it on Earth, and this really is a once in a lifetime experience. There's nothing to compare Antarctica to.
I'm so excited. Yeah, and so I plan to take this. Barring some catastrophe, I plan to be the one going with everybody on this. It sounds like Taylor's going to join. He's listening on the side. And maybe some of our other Excite team and other people, we'd love to have you on the ship. Like I said, if you have more questions, reach out to us. Ask all the questions before you make an investment like this, but it will be well worth it. And I'm so excited that Taylor, you took the time out of your evening to share with us all the great things that are going to happen on the cruise and answer all the questions. And I'm excited to see who's going to come along.
It's not a cruise.
It is an expedition.
Thank you.
Not an expert yet, I guess. Keep working on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll be in touch.
All right, appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thanks again, Taylor. Bye, everybody.